watched the launch videos? Like, I know last week we were supposed to go over 1 and 2, but we got kind of hung up on 1 because it's got more stuff to talk about. So we'll hit 2 again, better, so it makes more sense. And did you guys watch 3 or 4? I just kind of want to know where we're at.
I've watched 3.
Okay. Okay. You have or have not?
I haven't.
I have.
You have. Tegan has. Okay.
I have.
You have. Okay, good. So let me go back to, okay, so how are you guys doing? You should have received an email yesterday from Robert that was reminding you guys about the things we talked about, what your commitments were, like putting contacts in. Joanna, you might be feeling lost, right? Because you weren't here last week, and last week was the first one. Putting contacts into command. Who has been doing that? Good, 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 good. Can you tell me either in the chat or you can say it out loud, how many do you have in there so far? Hey, Tama.
Oh. Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
100.
So you said 100?
Yeah, so far. Yeah.
Awesome.
53.
Good.
Thank you.
37, that's good. Tegan, what about you? Have you had a chance?
Yes, I have. I have 246.
Oh, wow.
Good. Here's Alma and Daniel. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today that we didn't get a chance to really touch on last week from number 2 is really about prioritizing what we do, right? If you recall from that video, if you watched it, there's something called Pareto's principle, P-A-R-E-T-O, Pareto's principle. Sounds awful lot like my last name, Pareto, but don't confuse them. It's the 80-20 rule, right? So it tells us that 20% of our efforts yield 80% of our results. And that's been proven and covered in studies and all sorts of garbage. So just accept it. It's the truth. 20% of what you do gives you 80% of your results, which means that 80% of what we do only gives us 20% of our results, right? So what we need to do is focus on not getting buried in the 80% to only yield 20, because that's when you're spinning your wheels and you're never actually getting anywhere. So how do we do that? There is an interesting exercise. I'm going to try and do this. It's going to look scary and it's going to look ugly, but I'm going to try it. So this is a whiteboard and I'm going to try and draw and write with my mouse. It's an exercise that helps you identify what kind of things fall in your 80 or your 20, right? So everything that we do is either urgent or it's important, right? So the urgent, the eyes are important. Who's got a munchkin in the background? All right, I just muted you. Okay. So urgent, unimportant, urgent or important. So these are our quadrants, right? Everything that you do falls into one of these 2 categories, and what you have to do is figure out what they are. So let's talk about things, and this doesn't just happen in your professional life. This is personal. This is the world. It's everything. What might be an example of something that is not urgent, but it is super, super important? Meaning nobody's busting down your door, reminding you about it every day. There's no deadline. It doesn't feel like there's any consequence in the moment if you don't get it done. So it's easy to blow off, but it's really important.
Exercise.
Yes. Your health. No one gets that usually first try. Good for you. Your health, right? Trying to get all high tech with this. Whoops. What else maybe? Any ideas? How do I get rid of this? Delete. Won't let me.
Click
What
on
about-
Prospecting,
Say that again?
generating leads.
Yes. Who was that? I couldn't see the speaker who said that.
Chris.
Chris, you're right. That's the big one for business, right? So if you don't call somebody today, or if you don't get a contract signed, if you're not making your contacts and reaching out to people, so what? Doesn't feel like anything today. It's easy to blow off until tomorrow. But what's going to happen in 60 days or in 90 days, right? Or in 6 months? You can have zero business. And if you have zero business, then what? You can't pay your bills. You can't, everything falls apart. And then you got to go back and do whatever your past job was, your past career, which is exactly what you were trying to get away from, right? When you're trying to do this. So health is a big one, because we don't know until we're older that our arteries have hardened because we haven't been eating well and we have a heart attack, right? Because it was easy to just go ahead and eat the chips. Didn't affect me that next day. But in 10 years, when I've gained 15 pounds, it's like, ooh, I can't wear my pants. I guess I shouldn't have eaten the chips, right? It's the stuff that comes later. So that is an example. It's an example of things that are important, but not urgent, right? So what would someone say is an example of things that are urgent and important?
Family?
breathing.
Yeah. So these are the 4 quadrants, I should say. So something that's urgent and important is something that's got like a deadline now, and whatever the consequence is of that is a big one. So maybe it's going to the doctor or picking your kid up from school, right? So family can be depending on what the task is, right? Because if you let your family suck you up, they'll take all your time and you'll be like gone. So I'll just say like appointments as an example, right? Another one could be something like closing related. So let's say you have a closing coming up and there's a document that absolutely must be signed by noon, or the closer is not going to be able to schedule your closing, and now you're not going to be able to close for another week. That's important and it's urgent, right? That kind of last minute stuff. What else might be? I mean, it takes a while, right, to start thinking about these kind of things. Let's go maybe over here to things that are urgent but not important, right? These are the things that really suck up our time. Things that feel urgent, but they're not important. So a really good example of this is your email inbox,
I was gonna say social media.
right? It feels urgent, someone else is asking you to get something done right now because they need to get it done or because they want to get it done. But can it wait an hour? Can it wait 6 hours? Can it wait till the next day? Is the world going to implode, or is the deal or whatever going to fall apart unless this happens right now? I can't tell you how many agents I have that will say, I have to input this property in the MLS because I have a listing. Okay, when's it going live? Next week. Okay, so I can't come to our coaching session because I have to put this in right now. Well, can it wait an hour? Yes, it can wait an hour. You can do it later today. It doesn't have to happen right now, but some people get like super bogged up, right? Or you'll have somebody from the title company will send you an email that says, I need to have this form signed. Well, we're not closing for 3 weeks. I can get the form signed later today. It doesn't have to happen right now, right? Sometimes things that fall into this, and this is a hard one, is clients, like client questions or client showings. So it depends, okay? These things can be a little gray. It's going to depend on your situation, but yes, a client showing is important. But when they call you and say, I want to see this, I want to go see it in 20 minutes, period. You don't have to drop everything that you're doing to go show a house in a half hour. Is the house still going to be there tomorrow morning or at 8 o'clock? So that's why I said it depends, right? Because in this market, sometimes if it's a really hot new house, you do have to jump and run. But typically, you have a little bit of time. Or, you know, this falls into the whole thing of training people how to treat you. You don't want to necessarily train everyone that you know, title people, loan officers, your clients, your family, your friends. You don't want to train them to think that when they say jump, you're going to ask how high. And that has nothing to do with not being respectful of whatever it is that they're asking, or being defiant, you know, saying, I'm not going to do what you say. That's not what it's about. It's about you understanding what all of the things are in your life are important, urgent and important. You know, this whole matrix, what's your 20% and what's your 80%? And that's when we start talking about time blocking, right? So that you can make sure that you hit all these things. So what would something that would be not urgent or not important? Maybe that's where I would say social media surfing, meaning, you know what I mean? Just kind of hanging out on there and all of a sudden an hour's gone. Or, you know, looking up movie times. You know, yes, you're going to go to the movies with your kids this weekend. Well, you don't need to look up the times right now. You can do that later. But we get sucked in. We go down these rabbit holes. Everybody does it. It's easy to do. And so you have to create discipline. So when you look at this kind of matrix, this right here, let me see if I can type this in. This right here is your 20%. Everything that's on this side, right? And this over here is your 80%. Does that make sense? So what you guys need to do is take the time to even maybe journal, like just a piece of paper somewhere, write down everything that you're doing in a day and label it. Is it important? Is it urgent and important? Is it urgent but not important, or is it neither? No one is trying to say that you should not do things that are, you know, not not important or not urgent. You know what I mean? Like, you should be able to surf your phone and be bored, you know, whatever. Look up recipes and movie times. That's okay. But just give it its proper place in your calendar. Don't let it engulf the other stuff. Right? That's the point. So then when we talk about time blocking, if health, ooh, can you guys hear me? Because it says my internet's a little unstable. Okay. If your health and your lead gen are most important, you need to make sure that you properly carve out time to get those things done. And you need to protect that time. So if you put it in your calendar and you say from 7 or from 6:30 to 7:30, I'm going to exercise. Or if you like to exercise at night, it can be at 6 o'clock at night. I mean, whatever works for you, right? Put it in there. And when someone else calls and says, I've got a bunch of questions, I need to talk to you on the phone, I need you to help me with this, that, or whatever, you can say, okay, I have an appointment at 6 o'clock. Let's say you're going to exercise at 4 o'clock at night. I have an appointment at 4 o'clock, but I'm available to talk to you or help you at 5. You don't have to tell them I'm going to work out. None of their business. You have an appointment with yourself. A lot of people struggle with this when it comes to family, right? I got my kid's game. I can't show houses right now because I got to drive my kid to school, or I have my kid's doctor's appointment. Like, we feel guilty that we're parenting more than working at times, especially now with all this crazy stuff, right? You have an appointment. So you tell your clients, I have an appointment. I'm available at this time or that time. That's my dog, sorry. So be okay with that. Own it and be okay with that. Same thing with lead gen. I am committed to putting contacts in my database or reaching out and touching some of my contacts. Anna, I'm on a call. Sorry. Or I'm going to commit to an hour of putting together a newsletter or posting stuff on social media or creating a Facebook ad, you know, whatever that is, put it in your calendar. And then when someone else says, hey, let's just run out to lunch, or, oh, do you have a second? I was wondering if you could look over my document that I wrote and give me your feedback. I really need you to do this by noon. Well, that's not your problem, that's theirs. And you could say, well, I'm not available until X. Like, protect your time. People are vampires unintentionally, and they will come in and they will suck the blood out of your calendar because they don't know that you have all these important blocked out protected things. So you have to create that, and you need to kick people out and just tell them no, unapologetically, nicely, respectfully, but I'm not available. This is when I have time, period. So that's called time blocking. So hold on one second, please. I have parenting moments with teenagers that are doing online schooling. Anyway, so what I would like you guys to do is take a couple of days this week, like maybe Thursday and Friday. I used to have, I don't have it with me because I'm not in the office, but I had this big piece of paper on my desk. And every time I would do something, send an email, pick up the phone, check Facebook, check, you know, go to a class. I mean, everything. It would be like Monday, and I would just start writing. And I did that for 2 weeks. But even if you just did it for a few days, you'll start to kind of see what you're spending your time on. and what you should be spending more time on or less time on. It's a really good exercise. It's kind of like food journaling, right? How are you supposed to start eating better if you're not really seeing what you're actually eating? Because you don't notice every time you walk by and you grab a handful of M&Ms out of the bowl and you just keep going, right? So that was the big thing from 2 that I really wanted to go over. The one thing, has anybody started reading that or listening to it? Or do they know about it
Do they sell that at the office by chance?
at all?
Get online.
You can get it online for sure. It is also in an Audible. I have it in Audible, so I can just listen to it over and over if I want to. I believe Rob has several copies. I don't know if he sells it or gives them. You'll have to reach out to him. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
We
Has
got
anybody
ours at the office
delved
and it was
into
actually
it?
cheaper.
Oh, so they sell it.
Yeah, we bought it at the office. It was cheaper. We looked it up on Amazon. It was actually cheaper to get from the office.
Okay, so who did you ask? Just the front desk or Kate or?
We just kind of walked in and went upstairs and started walking around, and we had an agent find us as we were lost, and he took us to
Rob's office.
it's next to Rob's office.
Carolyn and Kate.
The 2 ladies in there. I think it was
Yeah.
Carolyn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she
Perfect.
got it for us. She had to go into Rob's office to get it, but
Get it,
yeah.
right. All right, so if you guys want to book from the office, contact Kate or Carolyn or Katie or even the front desk and say, hey, I'd like to buy a book. How do I go about it? And they'll either add it to your office bill or something like that, and then you can probably just pick it up at the front desk.
Yeah, they just added it to our bill.
Perfect. Has anybody gotten any scripting partners or have they been trying role play on their own? Yeah, you two are funny.
Oh, yeah.
like we do.
Totally.
Yeah, we got an advantage.
And how are you doing with it?
Oh, sorry. Stop a moment.
Was she asking us?
Oh,
Yeah,
we're doing good
yeah.
with it. Yeah.
No, I mean, I wanted to memorize it in the car one time when, and then I would just kind of practice it on him like he's the client. And in the
Good.
beginning, it sound before you really start to absorb it, it sounds like I'm reading it. And then I go back and I start doing it again and
Yes.
focus really concentrating like that I sound real, like I'm really talking. So
Mhm.
it took about 3
Yep.
days where it finally sunk in, and I would just kind of practice it like without the paper. And, by the time my brain processed it, it's coming easier and easier. And I'm just thinking like, wow, I really remember that, and it just comes.
Right.
So
So which one were you doing?
I was doing the
Buyer.
No,
interview,
it was the
buyer.
it's the
so-
buyer.
Yeah, it was the buyer interview.
When you
type
meet the
thing.
buyer, the first appointment when you meet them,
Yeah,
Yeah.
or you meet them at the office.
Like
You
the
want to
one-
do it?
yeah, thank you so much for agreeing to meet with me today, that type of thing. That's how it starts out.
Do you want to do it?
Oh,
or
you like
no?
to put me on the spot.
And we don't have to if you don't feel
no.
comfortable, but okay, all right. We won't, not yet.
No, I'm gonna
It's
sound
okay.
fake.
We'll do it later. Just keep practicing. Because by the end,
I
so in a
probably
month,
will.
like in January, everyone's going to pick a script that they're comfortable, that they've been practicing, and we're going to just do it. We're going to role play it.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Good.
I think I read it somewhere and I was getting excited as I was looking for my husband. I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna hold us accountable. This is gonna be a good thing.
Good.
So yeah,
Good.
I'm excited about that. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
so now let me figure out.
Ray's on here. He's the one that showed us around.
Oh, Ray. Hey,
Was
yeah,
that
I saw Ray, but thank you, Ray, for helping them. Let me see. Let me open number
Now I
3.
have to practice.
You guys can't, what do you see right now? Do you guys just see the whiteboard still?
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. 3. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing that. And I'll do this. All right, we're not going to do a GPS right now. This isn't really in the right order, I don't think. So we're going to touch on that later. So a little bit of Keller Williams lingo, right? A touch system. So a touch is how many times you put yourself in front of your client. And that doesn't mean necessarily physically. I mean, that counts, but just your name, your image, your likeness, your whatever, reminding them that you are in real estate, reminding them that you exist and that they know you. That's a touch. Can be anything, right? So one of my examples that I always use is, you know, toothpaste. I don't know if I did that on the video that's recorded, but name a toothpaste. Go.
Colgate Crest.
Okay, that's
Crest,
two.
Sensodyne,
yeah.
What'd you say?
Sensodyne,
Okay, three.
Tom's,
Oh, what's the other one?
Tom.
Oh, Tom's. So here's the thing. I should have only asked one person to do it because now I'm getting a bunch of answers from everybody. Typically, if I only ask one person to do it, they'll name two. They'll pause a little and name the third when they think for a second. And then they have to really start thinking again when they get to the fourth one, right? That's because our brains only have space for about 2 spots for each category of everything we think about, right? That you have at the top of your mind. Like name a car, bam. You usually come up with 1 or 2 and then you have to pause, right? And think about it. You can come up with more, but it's those reflex ones that just like show up at the top of your mind. The whole idea of a touch system is to be those 1 or 2 at the top. You want to be the one that when your neighbors walking the dog and someone says, I'm thinking about selling my house, they're like, bam, I got somebody. You want to be the first one. You want to be Crest or Colgate or Tom's or whichever one is the one that's on the top of your list, right? And how do we do that? It's by systematically touching your people, systematically being in front of them with a schedule. Believe me, if you just intend on doing it, you'll fall off. Because it goes back to that whole important but not urgent thing. This is one of those things. It falls under lead generation. If you don't send a newsletter out once a month, nobody's going to care. But if you do, you're going to get more business because they're going to remember your name and it's going to count, right? So it's that kind of stuff. There are examples of these touch systems in the Google Drive that you can look at. There's an example of Matt's when he used to be on a team that has it all laid out in a calendar. Let's see.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
When you're setting up the smart plan, because I've never done it, is there a way you can put everyone on the same smart plan because you inputted all your content at the
Yes,
same time?
there sure is.
Okay.
Watch. This one's an easy one to answer, super quick. You guys can see my command? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I go to contacts, right? And let's say I just pick this one, that one. I mean, I can pick them all, whatever. I'm just picking some, right? But the point is it's a group. There's multiples. If you go up here where it says select bulk action, you click down, you can add tags to a bunch of people, or you can add them all to a smart plan, right? So now I can just, whatever. All of them need to be on a monthly neighborhood nurture. All of them need to be on an open house follow-up, or all of them, you know, whatever you want to do. Cool? Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so this is before the advent of smart plans, right? You had to put it on a calendar, which you still might want to do anyway. So for instance, Matt, and you see this on this video, if you watch video number 3, we go through this. Everybody gets a neighborhood update once a month. Every January, he sends out previous year statistics of the market to everybody. And he sends them all a Happy New Year card. In March, everybody gets a postcard that says something about, you know, it's time to list your house in the spring. That's the best time, blah, blah, blah. He obviously had some sort of a Yeti giveaway. He had some sort of an event, right, for Easter that he sent out information for in March. And then he would send out a postcard down here that says, come to the event. In April, everybody got the neighborhood update. He talked about the spring market. He talks about some client event that they had. And then at the end, thank you for coming, or we're sorry we missed you because you didn't come to the event. So it goes on, right? He does this for the whole year, right? 4 tips to sell your home, 4 tips for selling it in the fall, magnets in August for MSU U of M. You know, you just take some time and this is up there so you can look at it. These are
Where can
all
we
the
see
things
this
that he
at?
puts together.
I'm sorry.
This is in the shared Google Drive for coaching under launch number 2 folder. See right here? Launch, it's session 2, and all this stuff is in there. So some of those things though can be automated by using smart plans, right? Like the monthly neighborhood update is automated. You could send out, you could create your own smart plans and have something that goes out every winter, spring, fall, summer. The point is, come up with a system to touch your people consistently. I can't tell you how many times I'm like, I'm going to send a postcard out monthly to my neighborhood. And I'll do it for like 3 months in a row. And then I get super busy with something. And then it's like, oh God, I haven't done that for like 3 or 4 weeks. Okay, I'll do it next month because I already lost this month by the time the postage goes out. And then you start slipping and you start rolling backwards. The next thing you know, it's been 3 months and you never sent anything. So put it on paper. You're just giving yourself marching orders. You're writing. It's as though if you were hiring an employee or an assistant, you would give them a list of all the things that you expect them to do, right? You're paying them. You want them to do this stuff for you. You're just doing the same thing for yourself, right? And then you can give yourself a little quarterly review. Would you fire yourself? Are you doing the work that you said that you were going to do? Would you put yourself on probation? Like, what would you do? Or maybe you're doing everything and you're going to give yourself a bonus. Whatever, right? Other things that we talk about here. When you meet with buyers, it's important that you guys go and listen to those videos because those videos are an hour long, hour and a half long on each one of these things. So for me to hit them real quick in 40 minutes, you know, this is really supposed to be more of a question and answer. So for the people who watched number 3, did anyone know any questions that they have that they would want me to talk about?
I did.
Sure. Great. Good. What?
So for the GoIn Shows, like you guys had
Yep.
mentioned, for when you are clicking on a listing and it's almost automatic that you can go
Yep.
and do a showing. You kind of had referred to this and I wrote it down, but I wanted to make sure that I didn't just assume
Okay.
that use those kind of to fill if you're going to do a tour with you know, like a client and you're going to show them multiple listings, you would use those as potential fillers for like the beginning or the end, you were saying, correct?
I've done that. Well, first of all, it depends on where they are geographically, of course,
Okay.
right? Because you don't want to drive around like crazy just because of that. But if it makes sense, I will often put the GoIn Shows near the end, because if we're running early or if we're running late after all the appointments, the GoIn Shows at the end don't matter as much because you could be a little early or a little late because usually the house is vacant and nobody's there anyway.
Okay, so
Usually,
that makes more sense to
right.
put, like, kind of save them for the end because there's more
Yeah.
flexibility with them.
That's what I usually do.
Okay.
But again, it has to make sense geographically, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so that answers that question. Any
I
other?
have a question.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go
I have a question. When you put in for example, I mean, my husband and I are a team, and if you go on there and I'm the one that wants to see the house, technically I'm supposed to let them know that another agent is coming with me and to get a permission. And this is what GMAR had told us, that we had to make sure that we get a letter in writing that it's okay for another agent to come and see the house with me.
I've never
When
heard
I schedule,
that.
yeah, so when I schedule an appointment to see it,
Not true.
and so
But I've
I'm
never-
supposed to get permission and have them send something in writing that they are okay that he's coming with me. And then another question that I had was, let's say, when the family comes and do we have to know who is going to exactly be coming to see, because we have to list all the people on there, right? Who's going to come and see? What if
Oh,
they
you're
bring
talking
their
about-
children? Like if you go
Okay, so
show
you're
the house.
talking about the COVID stuff?
No, she's talking about showing houses
Just
in general.
general, like
You
if
don't
I
have
was,
to tell
you don't have
anybody. No. Okay, so
okay,
there's two different things going on here. Right now, at least in 2020, because of the whole COVID thing, you are restricted in how many people you can bring, right? I think there can only be 4 people in the house at a time. So you're one of them. But you certainly don't, in regular practice, have to tell people the names of every single person that's coming with you.
okay, that just answers my question, because that would have been, it would have been, you know, let's say they said they're coming and then they bring their kids and you're like, we were discussing that amongst each other. What do you do if you really didn't tell them the kids are coming? Do you just like can't show the house? Okay, it makes sense.
Right. And the whole thing about GMAR saying that you have to let them know if another agent's coming, I have never heard that before. So I'm writing myself a little note and I'm actually going to ask someone, because that's,
Yeah, it's like she said, because see, when I log in and I schedule an appointment on there under myself, I'm the agent.
yep.
And I asked that question and she said, you have to write in there under notes to let the other agent, the listing agent, know, and also have them send something in writing so that I have it for just in case, God forbid, I have something in writing that they said it was okay for him to come with me.
I wonder if there was a misunderstanding that she thought you were scheduling for him.
I think that was Real Comp,
Was it real?
because Real Comp was a lady and GMAR was a guy.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was you're right.
It's okay. That doesn't matter. But I wonder if there's a miscommunication that they thought you were asking about scheduling a showing for another agent, not if you were just bringing one with you. You know
Okay,
what I mean?
that would make my life easier if I didn't necessarily have to go through all this. If I scheduled and another agent just kind of came with me.
No, because if
Okay.
you, I mean, I'm going to double check this for you because I've never heard that before. But in my mind, the agent who schedules it is the one who's responsible for anything that happens during that showing, right? So if you go in there and you forget to lock the doors and somebody
Not
breaks
me.
into your house, that's on you. Not, I don't care if you brought another agent with you or not.
Yeah,
You're responsible for that showing.
right.
You know what I
Which
mean?
makes sense. Yeah,
So I'll double check that for you.
perfect.
That's
Sharon, speaking
Yes.
of that, the locking the doors, one other thing you guys had said, like briefly right at the end, you said that on showing time and Sentry Lock to confirm that your showing is complete.
That's the courteous thing to do.
How do you do that?
There's a button that'll pop up on your
Oh, okay.
app.
Okay.
As soon as you access it, a button will pop up and say, "Are you done?"
Okay.
You can say yes or no.
Okay. Thank you.
I had a question about the allocation of fund sheet.
Sure.
Is it okay if I go back to that?
Absolutely. Yep.
So under the business expenses, there's the market center company dollars. As per year 18,000, that was already data that was input. Can you explain that, please?
Yep. So there should be actually 21, 18, and 3.
You're right. I'm sorry. Thank you. Yeah.
That's fine. So the $18,000 is your split with the market center. That
Okay.
is taken in 30% increments off of each deal, right? You're 70-30 or 60-40, you know, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And then the $3,000 is a royalty charge that goes to Keller Williams International.
Okay.
Once you have, and that comes at a 6% in 6% increments off of every deal, right?
Okay. Okay.
So once you reach the point where you have contributed 18 and 3 equaling 21, you keep 100% of your commissions at that point.
Got it. And what if for any reason you can't reach those marks?
Then it resets on your anniversary date and you start from 0 again.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
On the
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
It was actually about like things like Zillow and Realtor. You know, you have homes that either say contingent or pending. What's the difference between that?
So I'm going to talk in terms of MLS because Zillow usually marks everything pending, even if it's contingent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the different designations, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. So a home can be CS, which stands for coming soon.
Right.
And that can only be for 5 business days. It gets listed for 5 business days and then it goes active.
Okay.
Active. Pending means you've accepted a contract. Everyone has bottom lined it. And you're doing your inspections and your appraisals. That's just like normal, right? You accepted a contract and you're. The next one would be ABO, which means accepting backup offers. That means that you've accepted an offer. Everybody's bottom lined it. You're doing all your inspections. It's just like pending, but you're still open to people coming to see the house and giving you an offer just in case this other one falls through.
Got it. Okay.
The next one is contingent continue to show, CCS. That means you've accepted an offer. Again, everybody's bottom lined it, blah, blah, blah. However, that offer is contingent upon the sale of the buyer's home.
Oh, okay. Got it.
And if the realtors are doing their job right, there's a time frame attached to that. Like they have to get an offer on their home within 30 days, or they have to close within 60 days, or, you know, there's a time frame that's put together. So that's what CCS means.
Okay. So that's just basically to let the general public know, or other agents, obviously, to know that like it might be back on the market. We just need to keep an eye on it.
Yes.
Right.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
We don't want to like move forward and say like, hey, is there a possibility to do a showing, or is that just kind of like up to the listing?
To show, usually I would reach out to the agent and ask
Okay.
them if they're still willing to show the house.
Okay.
Because
Thank you very much.
maybe that contingency is a good solid thing right now. Maybe things are going to fall apart on that other house and they're like, yes, come see it, because I don't know that this is going to work out. You know, call the agent and ask them.
Got it. Thank you.
Good. What other questions? I like getting questions. It's better than me just rambling on and talking.
I am curious about the allocation of funds sheet now that we brought that back up. I have no clue what to allocate for my marketing. This is my first go at this. I have no clue.
Right. So I wouldn't go crazy on it. Even if you did a couple $100 a month and you decided to spend that mostly on like Facebook ads or postcards, I think you'd be okay.
Okay.
And then, you can adjust this, right? It's not like it's set in stone for a year. Go for a quarter and kind of see how that feels. Do you start to notice that it's not enough? Add to it, right? And kind of reallocate, you know, readjust your goals.
Thank you.
Yep.
So I'm curious about the script role play.
Yes.
Is that something that we download or?
So, hold on. I hate these things. There we go. Let me see where. Give me a second. I'll find it. I thought it was in
It's usually under the coaching folder where it says
scripts,
it
but I
says
thought,
scripts, yeah.
I thought
And
it was
there's
in,
like several of them. You just pass it, I think, yeah.
Yeah. I thought that it was in two different places. This right here, this scripting calls, there was a time years ago that we would do a weekly call and record it, and people would call and just practice their scripts. So if you ever want to listen to any of them from agents from like a year or two ago, that's in there. So if you go in here under scripts, there is this Ignite script book is like 64 pages. There's tons of stuff on here.
Okay.
This one is how to talk to people that you know to tell them that you're new in real estate, right? So you can practice that as something to start with. Or is this the one you were doing, Alma? The buyer's consultation, setting it up? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. I have another question.
Sure.
You know, when we add contacts, and I've added lots of contacts, and I want to fill it in to 80% or 100, like you said, you know, the more you put in, the better it is. And so if I called, I spoke to somebody yesterday, and how do you go about contacting them? And you know, you're going to let them know this is what you do. I always like to kind of touch on how you're doing and focus on really more them.
Yes.
And at some point in the future, I mean, of course, my goal is really to get more information. I want the address and the email. That's really my goal. But
Right.
yesterday I spoke to a friend, and because I've worked with her for many years, I just told her up front, this is what I'm doing. And I asked her if she was willing to give me her address to make my, you know, things look better. And she said, yeah, no problem. She gave me the email, and I told her what that's for. She'll be getting an email from me. She just wanted to know if she's going to get spammed. And I said, no, you're not going to be spammed or anything like that. And I asked her if that's okay if I use her phone number. So she kind of gave me that permission.
Yeah.
But how do we, remind me to ask her about that. Yes, exactly. But how do I, I'm thinking of other people now that I want to call. Since I haven't really spoken with them for many months, my goal is to get the information. Of course, I'm going to talk to them about, I haven't, you know, talked to you in a long time. But how do you, it's like, do I do it the first time, or do I wait and call again and be like, the second time I do it? Or
you could say something, you know, when you tell them what you're doing, you could say one of the really cool things about Keller Williams is this whole technology platform that we've developed. And they've partnered with Nextdoor, which most people are familiar, right? You know, Nextdoor, that app that talks about your neighborhood and stuff like that. They partner with Nextdoor, and I have the capability of sending you an email once a month or twice a month if you want it. If you want it twice, you know, every 2 weeks, that's fine too. But typically we send them out once a month, and it just gives you a quick update on what's going on in your neighborhood. Lets you know if there's any properties that for sale or pending, if anything's sold, just to help you kind of just keep up on what's going on. Is that okay? Would you mind if I sent that to you?
Okay, I see. And another question,
You still ask for permission, right? Hold on, go ahead. Keep
I
talking.
interrupted you and I didn't hear. Okay, so the do not call, when we go, I know that on Remind, if you look through things and there's do not call signs, which we know automatically not to do it. But what about our friends that are found in our phones? As we got that phone number because they gave us, we're friends, so we have permission to call them personal. Now we're putting them in the database, and this is going to be marketing. Now, do we have to be cautious on that and kind of reach out to them to get that, to make sure that we are managing our contacts correctly so that we don't get in trouble?
No, if they give you their number, you can call them. Like, it doesn't matter how. So like, for instance, if you get a Facebook lead through Facebook ads, you have their number because they entered it in when they clicked on the thing. You're allowed to call them.
Okay, and even if it's from my phone, from my cell phone, at some point they give me that number.
I think my internet just went bad.
Oh yeah. you're frozen.
You guys hear me? I think that
Yeah.
was my, yeah.
So
Okay,
even from
sorry.
the contacts, like from the contacts from my phone, not necessarily from, because I have a lot of contacts. Some people that I really haven't talked to, it just happens to be my previous patients. We at some point talked, I have email. Those people, do we still have a permission to put them and market to them from like a business perspective now, even though they came from a personal phone? Do we have to check with them about that? Do not call.
I would,
Or do we not worry about that?
I don't overthink it. I think that if you
Okay.
have a relationship with those people already, you're fine.
Okay.
And if they tell you don't call me anymore, okay, then,
You're not gonna
I
call.
mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice tree.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Here, come here. Can you see the cat?
Yeah.
Oh,
She doesn't usually get to walk around much because, you know, we have the dog now. She's gained weight because she's stuck in her room all day long.
Just relaxing all day.
Yeah. Okay, so what I would like for you guys to do for next week is to continue adding contacts, right? So if you can put another 50 in, put another 50 in. Download the Showing Time app if you haven't already. Download the SentryLock app. You know, just so you can start getting used to it and seeing how it works. We're not working about don't worry about the GPS thing. So there's this commitment to success. Hold on, let me take a look at it. Go away.
Hey, quick question, Sharon. Is there a way to connect two agents' contacts together, like hers and I?
You would have to be set up as a team. Yes, there's a way to do that. I don't know how. You'll have to talk to, gosh, I guess I would ask Kate or Rob, because you guys would have to be set up as a different,
oh, that's a good
thing.
question. Yeah.
You'd have to be a team. And then you would have like the team module in command.
Well, as far as this whole training thing, is it a big deal for us to just
Oh,
put
is
all
that
the
what you're
contacts
asking?
in one?
Well,
Well, I'm just,
Here's the
I
thing.
want to,
That's a-
because we are working together and I want her to be able to contact my contacts and vice versa.
Right.
So I would rather have it so that it's easier for us instead of having to try to remember, if she wants to get a hold of somebody or need to get a hold of somebody, then she doesn't have to say, hey, what's your password again? Or
I understand.
something like that.
So
So it
that's
just
gonna
makes
be
it
up to
easier
you
for us to
guys.
put it all in one.
That if that's how you want to do it, then that's how you can do it.
Okay.
But when you start doing those smart plans and automatic emails, it's not going to have both of your names on it. It's just going to have whoever set up the account. If you're okay with
Right.
that.
And that's
Right?
fine. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Wait a
Okay.
minute. Okay, so we could do it like this, or we could just have them change it.
Right.
Okay.
Just decide.
Yeah. Something else to decide. One more
Um,
question. I know, just out of this is a teams kind of thing.
Yeah.
As husband and wife doing like business cards and stuff like that, do you have typically husband and wife do picture together on a business card or?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's people that do that together.
Okay.
For sure.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. So we got through 3. Keep working on your contacts, practice your scripts. Download SentryLock app, download the Showing Time app. Next week, when's Christmas? Is Christmas on Thursday or Friday?
It's on a Friday.
Friday.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can, how do you guys want to do this? Do you guys want to meet and still keep doing this next week and the week following? We should probably take a week off for the holiday, right? What are your thoughts?
Would make you think that it only applies to counter offer.
Ooh, what's that?
That was me, sorry.
Oh, I'm like, ooh, what's that?
I'm game for anyway. I don't have children or anything else. It's just me. So I'm up for whatever you all decide. I'm easy.
Aw.
I agree with her.
Yeah, I'll be out of town starting the 23rd, unfortunately.
Okay, so until when? When do you get back?
I come back the 24th. Like I'll be right back after that. It's just that day where I leave, like that morning. That's all.
Let's take next week off. And then we'll meet again on the 30th.
Okay.
Make sure everybody's excited about the new year and how they want to keep going, right? So we just finished 3. We're just going to focus on 4 because it's a long one, because it's going to talk about buyers, buyer presentations, offer. It's going to be one that will take a whole hour. So watch video number 4, write down your questions, because we get through more and I think we understand more when people have questions and we talk through it and you've already watched it, right? Rather than me doing the video all over again. That's, kind of silly. Cool?
Yep.
All right, so the 30th. Launch number 4. Yes, good. Cool. All right.
Got it.
She's ready.
Yeah, she is. He's dropping this whole time.
There you go. All right, cool. So I will see you guys on the 30th.
Great.
All right.
Sounds
Happy
good.
New Year.
Happy
Merry
holidays.
Yeah, happy
Merry Christmas.
holidays.
Have a great one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye.